goodness.
Papers that I can use.
It wasn't as good as what?
K-U-E-H-M.
It ain't as good as being home. I thought
That got for my trophy answer.
I kind of like being home too, and I don't get much of that either. So yeah, it is nice. All right. I don't think we got a song loaded tonight, Josh, or not?
No.
Okay. Let's just,
Sunday's coming.
we'll grab one next week since we don't already have to load. It takes a little bit to load. All right. Well, we'll jump right on into tonight's. And it's going to be this. Let me ask y'all something. Does winning feel good?
What?
Winning, does it feel good?
Yeah.
Somebody please get my wife a hearing aid and stand by her.
I did too. I thought you said too. Say what?
Does winning feel good?
Yes.
Oh boy. Is there anybody in here that don't think winning feels good? I won't have to enunciate very well right now. Yeah, I agree. So let's try to forget what my wife had to say over there. Yeah.
Of all the people in this room, that would not say it.
Maybe she's concerned that maybe I've lost it. I've lost it, and this is a sign, an indication that I'm needing some help.
I needed a good laugh in these things.
I'll say you got one because I was fixing to come back there and tell you to breathe. So. Even with your hands up, your face was glowing red. So. All right, we are not talking about women. We are talking about winning right now. And I think we all agree that winning feels good. Does anybody think that it doesn't feel good to win? Anybody? Right now the question is simply winning. Does anybody think that winning does not feel good? That's what we're trying to get to. Okay, so I think we've established that basically every human being in the history of time feels good when they win. And we do. We feel good when we win. Winning is a wonderful feeling. Andy Griffith described it to Opie one time after Opie was a sore loser as winning's easy. It's losing that's hard. Yeah, well, that's not just him. That's all of us. But winning feels good, and that's as simple as that. Well, let me ask you this, and you've already kind of jumped ahead on me a little bit. What about winning with a little bit of cheating? Okay, now I want you to be honest. Hold on, listen. So, let me say it like this. Let me say it like this, by a show of hands and not mouths. Does winning feel good even with a little bit of cheating? Yes. And be honest. I don't want you to lie right here. Don't tell me what you think of it. I want to know your honest answer. Let's see your hand. Let's see your hand. Put your hand in the air if you think that winning can still feel good even with a little bit of cheating. And be honest with yourself. I don't want anybody to lie about that. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Thank you for being honest. And that's a blessing. So just a little innocent advantage taken is not a big deal, right? Well, what about? Let me read a story to you. We're going to keep talking about that kind of stuff. This is from an article. I got this article from an old USA Today clipping, but it was talking about some of the biggest cheating scandals in sports and things like that. But this one was known as the Hand of God goal. Now, I doubt if any of you will remember this because nobody in here pretty much is real soccer fans. And it's also occurred in 1986, which was probably even close to before your mama was born. But it was known as the Hand of God goal. Just listen to this. There was a picture, and I didn't have a chance to get the video up and try to bring a video of it, but there was a picture of Diego Maradona, who played for Argentina. There's a picture of him up in the air. And what can you not touch the soccer ball with in soccer if you're not the goalie? Yeah, actually you can touch it if it's only a deflection. That's okay. But you cannot use your hands to grab the ball or to in any way direct the ball.
You jump in front of the ball and like hit it away from it.
Well, you can stick your hand up. You can stick your hand up and let it hit it. That's fine, but you
But
cannot.
basically, offensively, you can't use.
Yeah, basically that's a good point for me. You cannot use your hands in soccer outside of being the goalie to do anything offensive. Absolutely, good, very good description. All right, knowing that, listen to this. This infamous goal, because Diego Maradona, and you see the picture, the ball is in his hand. Goalie's right in front of him, so obviously he's right there. He scores a goal. So this infamous goal by Diego Maradona led Argentina to a 2-1 win over England in the quarterfinals of the 1986 World Cup, which his team, Argentina, would eventually win. They won the World Cup that year. All right? It was not called, and the goal was scored. And back in 1986, we sure didn't have any instant replay. Once it happened, it happened. That's what sports supposed to be. But anyways, Diego, initially said it was the hand of God that knocked the ball into the net rather than his own. That's what he said. That was the way he described it. Very seriously, he described it that way. And you'll have to understand that a lot of those South American and Latin American countries, especially back then, were very religious. Although a lot of it was Catholicism and stuff, but they were very religious. Let's put it that way. All right. So he says the hand of God knocked the ball in the net rather than his own. But in his autobiography 14 years later, Maradona fessed up. What hand of God he wrote? It was the hand of Diego. Now listen to this, what he wrote. And it was like stealing the wallet of the English, too. Do you know what that means? Do I understand what he's saying there?
Scared of regret.
He had great regret. Why?
Didn't earn it, right?
Because he didn't earn it. That's a great way to put it. He didn't earn it. He cheated. And because of his cheating, he was victorious. He won. As a matter of fact, it would lead on to them becoming the World Cup champions, and that in the soccer world and in basically almost every country other than the United States, that is one of the most coveted things that you can win is the World Cup. And I'm talking about most of the nations of the world. That's just the biggest thing in the world. And they won after cheating. And like I said, he wrote that it felt like stealing the wallet of the English. That's what would eventually become what he felt like after winning with a little bit of cheating. Well, we lost cheating in that. And I'm going to tell you something a little on a personal level here about this, about the same kind of thing. Back when I was a little kid, I was young. I don't even know if she even went. She may have been too young. I don't remember. I just know from a long time ago. The Ponce de Leon Methodist Church had a Easter egg hunt, and we went. Do you remember going to the Easter egg hunt?
I remember going back and doing that all the time.
Yeah. This was going because I don't even remember being there. I just remember because I was pretty young. Me and Mama went. Mama got recruited into helping hide eggs and that kind of stuff, you know. And I remember I was outside, and I remember this very vividly. I was out there and looking for the eggs and stuff like that. You know, the prize egg hadn't been found yet. I don't even know if y'all do prize eggs anymore or whatever. But when I was growing up, prize eggs was the thing. Because you won a big prize. If you had the prize egg, then that turned into whatever the surprise prize was. All right? So everybody wanted to always find the prize egg. Well, we're sitting out there looking around and we're doing everything. And about that time, my mom, and she's short, and we'll get into this later. She goes, hey, you know, you shouldn't always be looking at the ground. And so naturally, I looked up, and right above me in a little low-hanging branch of the tree, there's the prize egg. I can get it put in my basket. And that will tie into something here in a minute. but we're not gonna get to that part yet. You can get on the grannies later. But now I'm gonna tell you something. Yeah, I want to, and I vividly remember this, which, you know, that's my wife and those that's known me long. I got a crazy memory. It's amazing some of the things that I can remember clearly. And I do, I remember that very clearly. I remember Mama's words to me. I remember standing there looking up, and there, well, it was more like this, but it was right there kind of in front of me over my head, just barely over my head in a tree branch, in a little low-hanging branch, and it was hung up in there. And I very vividly remember that. You know what else I very vividly remember? I remember it not feeling very good. I didn't feel like I'd done anything. Somebody told me where it was. It wasn't, I didn't find it. And that was so impressionable on me that I remember that vividly. But you know what I don't remember? I don't even remember what I won. Honest to goodness, to this day, I cannot tell you what I won by finding that prize there. I have no idea. But I remember very, very vividly that it didn't feel very good. I mean, it didn't. It didn't feel like it. So that was, you know, that was a win. I got the victory. I had to win. But it didn't really feel that good. And you saw about Granny, those cheese, or, you know, anybody know who Rebecca and Jacob is? And we'll get to that here soon. Because it's very similar. It goes along with that. We'll get to that in a minute. Now let me ask you something else, and this is something for you to take on too. We're going to go through several of these. We're only going to be in a couple of different verses in the Bible tonight. Most of us have or do play sports and that kind of thing. And so it's always easy for me, because that's what I love, and I know most of us are involved in some way. So we understand things like this. How many times have you won a game on a bad call?
Or lost.
No, we're not talking about losing. We're talking about winning. How many times have you ever won a game on a bad call? Oh yeah. I promise you. Yeah. Believe me, it happens to every one of us that plays many times. You've won a game, and there's been some really bad calls against your opponent. It's happened. It happens always. It's happened to me. And then there are times that we lose, that we win. You know, because and now you don't ever blame on refs and umpires and things like that, because you don't put yourself in a winning position that can't matter. But there are times we have won, and we've won because of a bad call. How did that victory feel to you? Huh? But again, we're not on the losing side tonight. We're on the winning side. Actually, hey, I appreciate that, Darcy, because it really ties in. Not necessarily good for you, but it does tie in great for what we're doing, and that's good. And it is right. It feels really, and that's really bad to lose because you was cheating from something, and it does. That feels awful. It does. But now I'm going to tell you what. Take that, as you just said, anytime on that side. Take it when you lose and you've been cheated. Remember how bad that felt, and never, ever, ever cheat
Can
somebody.
I say something though about that? I feel like in ballgame stuff and stuff like that, I think when an umpire or a referee, I'm not saying there aren't some out there that are dirty, but I do feel like a lot of times that's just a result of human
And
error.
it is.
So
I
I
want to
don't think really consider that.
But hold on. That's not, but again, that's not what we're talking about.
Like winning by cheating, like if the official.
Hold on.
Okay.
You're on a kind, actually, you're dead on right again.
I just.
But that's a little bit different than where I'm going with this right here. And the kind of the point is this. This talks more to you individually and your own conscience. I'm not calling you out. I'm not expecting you to say one way or the other or whatever. But it's a tape measure for your own self and your own conscience and your own walk with Christ. Even though you are absolutely right, a lot of times those calls are not on purpose, and they're not. I mean, they're.
Well, and the result has not so much to do with integrity, like you can.
No, and that's right. It don't.
And
But
it's something that works in your
But
favor.
here's the thing: when you know as a winner that it was a bad call that won it for you, how does that victory feel?
Not good. It feels great
saying, I wanna know what we
One,
get.
I don't feel bad about it, like, I feel like we are,
Cause it's not cheap.
like, you still got out there, and
I could go.
you played your heart out.
I mean, that's what, and that's where we're at, that's where we're.
Get cheated on that college, I look at it.
All right, so let me ask you this, would that win feel as good as a win to you that everything was absolutely square?
Well, yeah, I mean, not, but I mean,
Yeah.
but it's
Still,
still
what if it's never gonna be?
I feel like-
Say there's other moments.
There's never gonna be.
If I feel like it was square, you may feel like you earned it more, that you had to play harder. I mean, a win's a win. It doesn't put the same one.
All right, and that's right, this is exactly what we're looking at. All right, so let me ask you this, and this is gonna get a little bit more in, and it's gonna step away from what we were just doing. Let me ask you this, what about if you, get change at the store, and the cashier, you give them a 10, and they give you change that would have been for a 20? What about that? Is that a win? Is that a win? What do you do then?
I get away that.
Or,
Hold on.
you miscounted, I think get outside and realize you left something in the bottom part of your
I
bag.
did that before too.
And
I
like
went
that.
back in.
Now that's a little bit different. Yeah, that's a scary feeling, and you run back
Yeah,
inside.
I
Yes.
go back in and take that.
Yeah, do that. But what if you're giving too much change? What do you do?
I give that back.
Is that a victory?
I might change.
Oh, right, what you got to say?
I didn't.
I said, if you are giving too much change
I
back,
give it back.
is it a victory or is it?
That happens to me, that's happened to me, it says you stand and I give it back.
Okay.
Because if you ever are on the other side of that,
Yeah.
and you have to.
That's happened to me.
I've been on the other side of that, and you could never, ever do it.
And that, yeah, so you, because of the way you would feel about it, you want to do, because what does that say? Do unto others as what? As you want to be done. Not as you're done, as you want to be done. That's the way you do unto others. Now, let me take that one a little bit further. What about finding money?
Keep it.
Yeah, okay, if I'm finding money on the ground
Leave
somewhere.
it. If I found a dime on the ground, take
Like,
it.
yeah,
In
and
Montgomery, and I found $100 bill in a convenience store in the floor. I went and turned it in, and the lady said, "We don't know whose it is, either you can keep it or I am," and I kept it.
I
But
wouldn't
what, I mean, she said, nobody's came in, she said, "I'm not giving it to the store," she said, "I'm putting it in my pocket," and I thought, "No, you're not."
I think you should make all efforts to find who it actually belongs to.
Is that?
I would probably leave it there because you don't know there's drugs on it.
That's actually not a bad idea.
Fair enough.
But when the denomination gets pretty high, you gotta take the chances. I get the rest of that.
Well, I found $25 at a football game, around the dump. It was just,
Keep it.
Yeah.
When I go to places and I see like somebody get like a quarter or a dime and a penny, that doesn't matter to me. I just, nobody really even wants pennies or cents. I know if it's $100 bill, you know what, I'm not just returning it.
Well, I tried to.
if it's a hot dog bill, I'll return it, but if it's like $1,
Now, I mean, there was nobody in the store, and nobody was at the gas station.
All right, okay. All right, but it's very hard. That's a difficult situation because it's very hard to find somebody that is theirs. You know, that kind of thing. So I agree. Now let me ask you this: what if somebody comes up and says, "Hey, that's mine"?
I would give it back to you.
no, but what if the
Even
line,
if it's not, I mean,
you don't have any proof either way?
Like, get a
You
line.
can kind of tell sometimes, it's just not.
Then you say back, no, it's mine, to see how they react.
Yeah.
I would probably just hand it to
Or
them.
you just ask how much it is.
Maybe they needed it more than me.
I really like that. See, that's a good answer. Because in that case, if somebody, if you find money and somebody comes up and says, "Hey, that's mine,"
Because if they're lying, then that's not, that's
That's
the
not
point of
on,
God,
that's right.
that's got nothing.
and
to
as
do with it.
Lisa said, it may be they need that way worse than I do. I don't need, God's gonna give me what I need. I know that. I'm not worried about that. So, listen, although that's a really tough one, and it is, a lot of these are tough situations, and they are. But always lean to the side that you feel like God would do it. Like the whole saying was, what would Jesus do?
Be honest.
Be honest. Always be honest. Does that mean that everybody's honest? Does that matter?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't matter And that is, that even though I wasn't always crazy about the Walk with Jesus movement, I love that question, and it is a wonderful question to always ask yourself. If you're in a situation and you're not sure morally what should I do here, simply ask yourself that question, what would Jesus do? And if you say, well, I don't know what he'd do, then that means you didn't read the Bible enough. Read a little bit more, because it tells you just what Jesus would do. Awesome. That's awesome. So,
And Leviticus actually addresses that.
when under the law, there is some actual rules and regulations on all that stuff.
Specifically on finding things that were lost. I just read it in
Yeah,
Sunday.
that is correct. There are under the law, and who's under the law?
God, policeman,
Who is under the law? And then listen to the way I say this. Who is under the law?
policeman, bounty hunters.
The law of Moses. Who is under the law of Moses? Yes, ma'am?
Jesus?
No.
Wait, was it Aaron?
Huh?
Aaron?
Perfect answer. The unsaved. Why do you say why? Now, does that mean that we got nothing to do with the law as the saved? No, we are guided by the law. You know what it says that the law about the law? And this is called a tangent. But when we are saved, God writes the law on our hearts. And no longer do we try to keep the law, but rather God inspires us to keep the law. And even though we're not under that law, we are guided by that law. So when the things you find in the law, in the Old Testament, in Leviticus, yes, they apply. They apply very much still today. You know when they don't apply? They don't apply when I stand before God in judgment and it's Jesus that's being seen instead of me. They also don't apply, the things of the law don't apply if it is addressed in the New Testament and changed in the New Testament. And there are some things that actually works with. All right, let's get back on over to here. All right, so anyway, let me say it like this. Any deceitful wind, whether it's our own deceit or somebody else's deceit, any deceitful wind just never should feel like a victory. And that's the truth. I have one thing, and I'll say this. When it's not your fault, it's not your fault. But I will say that if it don't give you a little bit of a less enjoyment of that victory, then do question your conscience a little bit, get in the Word a little bit, and see about that. Because even though you may not have done anything wrong, and there's nothing wrong with enjoying the victory, that victory should be a little bit tainted to you if there was something, if there was something that was wrong with the way you went. Always remember that, just like that. Now we're going to discuss just a little bit. That's all. We're not going to have it a couple of places in here, but we're going to look at a couple of things. I want to bring up to you Genesis chapter 27, verse 35. I'm going to just read this verse. I'm going to read a Spurgeon note that goes along with it, and we'll discuss some of the things leading up to it. But Genesis 27:35 says this, and he said, and he is Isaac. Is it? Yes. And he said, thy brother came with subtlety and hath taken away thy blessing. He is talking, Isaac is talking about thy brother Jacob came with deceitfulness, came disguised, lied, cheated, stole, and has taken away, has stolen your blessing, Esau. He's taken away. He come, he stole it from you. It's been done, it's over, you have lost. Now I want to read this that Brother Spurgeon preached one time about this verse. Thy brother came with subtlety and hath taken away thy blessing. Now this is the editor's note saying that Spurgeon points out the sins committed by, listen to me, Isaac, Rebekah, and Jacob. This is that part, Papa, where Rebekah and Jacob come in just a second here. All right. Isaac ignored God's word regarding Jacob. You got to know the story. If you don't know the full context, you need to go home and read it and study about it. This is about the time that Rebekah, Isaac and Esau's mama, or Jacob and Esau's mama, got Jacob to lie, cheat, and steal, so that he might be the one that's blessed, and the lineage running through him. Now that's the way it was supposed to be. God had already declared that, but Isaac voted on Esau, his other son, and he wanted it to go that way. So there's sin by everybody. But anyway, Spurgeon points out the sins committed by Isaac, Rebekah, and Jacob. Isaac ignored God's word regarding Jacob. Rebekah took God's plan in her own hands Who else done that one time? Didn't Sarah and Abraham did that? And that's where we got Ishmael?
Do that.
Yeah. And Jacob lied. Then he points out the affliction that resulted. Now listen here. This is what Brother Spurgeon wrote. Isaac had wanted to see soon the blessing continued, or that promise, or that lineage. He wanted to see that continue. He did not see it. Jacob must be sent away right away. He has the blessing, but he must go. Isaac lived to see him again in extreme old age. He lived to see his son come back. But that was some up to 40 years. We don't know exactly. It's somewhere between 40 years. During which he was away. The son at home would be small comfort to him. Esau, the one he doted on, would be small comfort to him. And the son whom he had blessed, Jacob, must be taken away from him for a time. Where did Jacob go? Nope. Nope. Jacob had to go back to the homeland of Abraham and find a wife and hide out over there so Esau wouldn't kill him. And he ended up spending about anywhere from 20 to 40 years over there.
I'll be honest, I've always been so confused by this. I mean, just being transparent, because I've always
Yes.
wondered. I mean, Jacob goes on to be the patriarch of Israel.
But
And I've thought about it so many times, like, they were deceitful, and yet, you know, he still
listening.
prospered.
because that's something that's destined to be addressed.
Listen, that was like last week, God made a way.
As to
And I'm
Rebecca,
thankful, okay, let
no,
me-
yeah,
let
no,
me
yeah,
say-
no,
let me
no, I
say
know,
something.
but listen,
Because,
you,
like,
that's the,
me, that's
listen,
you,
that's the
every
exact
leader,
question.
thank God
Yes.
that we can
That is something
live
that,
like
that's,
that and then still prosper in
Yeah.
Christ and all that stuff.
but look at why. Okay, as to Rebecca, the mother, that loved Jacob, that wanted to see Jacob's blessing come to fruition, and it worked and worked on, and she was willing to do things she shouldn't do to make sure it happened. As to Rebecca, she never saw her son again. You see, I mean, directly after this blessing, directly after Rebecca helped Jacob to see his daddy, her husband, he had to go. He had to leave because Esau said, "I'm going to kill you." And he just got the blessing. He stole the blessing. That means something, y'all. That means a whole lot. So he had to go. He had to leave. And his mama never saw him. Never. Not on this side of heaven. She never saw him. On this earth, she would live the rest of her life without seeing that son ever again. She bade him farewell with many a tear, and when he returned, Rebecca was gone for a rest. She did not know what she was doing for herself. As far as she was concerned, she was forever separating herself and her son in this world. As for Jacob, from that moment, and this is going to kind of answer some of what you were talking about. As for Jacob, from that moment, he had such a chapter of sorrows as made him say when he had gone through it, "Few and evil are the days of your servant." Throughout his life, that in transgression cast a gloom over everything. See, what we do fail to realize a lot of times is when if we do study Jacob, man, his was a life of misery for the most part. Even though the blessing went through him, his life was not a good life. He had a rough day. He lost a son that he loved the most. To the most part, even though he'd be reunited eventually and all. But, or a grandson. Or not Jacob. Isaac lost a grandson. Jacob lost a son. But he suffered, and he did. He did it. Even though the blessing went through him, all he really done for the most part was suffer. He had plenty of worldly things, but he suffered. He lost in the family and things like that. And that's what was being said here. And when I first read this, I wrote a little note that said, "A sinful wind never feels like victory." That was the case with Jacob. A sinful wind never felt like a victory. He won. And even though he was the one that had already been chosen before birth even to be that lineage, that line that we talked about Sunday, even though he was the one, he jumped the gun. He did things he shouldn't do to get to something that he was going to get anyway. So he won, but it sure didn't feel like victory because he had it happen. He would live the rest of his life miserable most of the time. I mean, think about it. He runs away, goes to the land of Abraham's home. He goes to his mama's brother's home, who cheats him for the whole time he's there. I mean, he gets cheated constantly. He works for 7 years for Rebecca to be able to marry Rebecca, or not Rebecca, but Leah, or actually Rachel. He wanted Rachel. He works for 7 years for Rachel. When he goes to the marriage ceremony, she's veiled, of course, and it turns out that his old uncle Laban had actually married him off to the oldest sister, Leah. Had to work 7 more years for him so he could get Rachel again. And then he worked another 6 years before he ever got anything, and they ended up splitting away, parting ways, and things like that. Got cheated, lost all that. Gets back home eventually. Finally, his mom is dead. Never got to see his mama again. You know, she's gone. She's dead. He would go on to, you know, to lose things regularly. That meant a lot to him. He'd live through famine. He'd have to leave the promised land that he had been given. And he'd lose that and have to go live as a foreigner in the land of Egypt, which would lead to his family turning into slaves. So see, he didn't, even though the lineage, and it went through him, and he in the end became a very godly man, he suffered a lot for that sin, and he did. So, a sinful wind never feels a whole lot like victory. And you see that it affected everybody in there, and it was pretty bad. But now that led me to thinking about something else then. So, we all know that, I mean, like I said, if winning in any way it feels all right to you, I want you to reevaluate that a little bit. I want you to get into the Word, and I want you to pray a little bit more, because winning should only feel great when it's going right. And let me tell you something, we're going to look a little more at that, and that's what we're going to wrap it up with. Turn with me to the book of Matthew, chapter 7. One verse I'm going to read here, chapter 7, verse 21. Matthew 7:21 says this: Not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. Some of y'all probably said, what does that got to do with this winning thing? What does this got to do with this victory thing and all of this that we're talking about? Just because you claim to have the victory over sin, death, and hell does not mean that you do. What does that mean? Yeah, but what? Okay, so you may say you're saved. You may say, I have won victory. I am the victor over sin. That's what being saved is. You are victorious. You are a winner. You are a winner over sin. You are a winner over death. You're a winner over hell. You're a winner of life. That's the prize. That's the prize of being saved is eternal life. That's what it is. All right? So you are that winner. But you know what? If it is a deceitful victory, if you are deceitful in your salvation, and I'm going to tell you, some of this is people that actually believe they're saved. But if it's not genuine, if it's not real, if it is not without deceit, then then you're not going to. It's not going to be that win that you think it is. That win is not going to feel very good. That is going to be a victory that don't feel that great. It's going to be, well, it's going to be a deceitful victory concerning your eternity that will turn out to be an agonizing defeat when you stand before God. Y'all remember what was it? Oh shoot. What was that? What was the old saying? I didn't write it down. The thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. That was it. Y'all remember that? I believe it was part of ABC Wide World of Sports, and that was one of their slogans, was the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. And I think we can all relate to that. We understand victory feels good. It's thrilling. It's wonderful. Defeat is agonizing, especially when it's defeat in the championship game or something like that, or that last loss and you really wanted it to be a win. That's agonizing, and that's what they're talking about. What I named this was the comfort of victory and the agony of deceit. You see, we are deceitful, we will pay for it. It will not be a win. It don't feel very good. Victory don't feel that great when it's deceitful. And that's the case. So, you see, to be saved is to win. And it is a clean win. And it is a win without any deceit. It is a win without any bad cause. It is a win without any cheating. And your prize is eternal life in the presence of your Creator. If you are deceitful in that win, you will be found out in you. It won't be a win. It won't last. It won't be there. And some folks say, well, then how do I know? What do you mean if not everybody that says I'm saved is saved? And I'm telling you, there will be people that will be shocked that they're not saved. So how do I know that I have won this victory without any deceit, without any cheating? How do I know? Pretty simple. It says it right there. But he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. Jesus said, and this is his words, that the person that does the will of God is the person that is saved. That's your way of knowing you're saved. That if you do the will of God. In other words, if you are saved, God has work for you to do. You have something to do. We say it, works don't save you. And it don't. But being saved drives you to works. Not only drives you to works, being saved requires works of you. Once you are saved, God has some work for you to do. Each and every one of us. We're not just saved and, okay, I'm done. As I've heard my dear wife say, oh, you pay me $1 million, I'll be glad to ride the pine road, that contract. And I get it, I would too. No, I wouldn't. I couldn't stand the silver pine. But, in other words, my thing is when you're saved, you're not done. That's not it. It's not all over. I'm saved now. No, when you're saved, you're like, what do you got for me to do, Lord? And there is something for you to do, and that's the thing, is the one that's saved does the will of the Father. We have something to do. Now, one of the biggest questions you usually hear at this point is, well, what am I supposed to do? I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Anybody ever ask that question? Anybody still ask that question? And be honest. Do you know what God's got for you to do right now? I hope you do. And you don't have to raise your hands. You don't have to do that stuff on that stuff. But there is a simple way. It's not hard. You don't make it difficult. There is a way to know exactly what you're supposed to do. And you find His will through prayer and through study. That's part of the reason why it's so important for you to have a daily prayer and study. Bible reading time. And when I like you to say Bible reading because although I have no problems whatsoever with, devotionals and things like that, they're awesome. That's not Bible reading. That's not Bible reading. You need to be reading just the Bible at times too. Not with a devotion. Just the Bible. You say, I can't understand. God gives discernment. Pray hard. Nothing wrong with devotion. I encourage you. I read it. But have time that you read just the Bible. Why? Because this is Jesus speaking to you. Pray and read this Bible. He will tell you. He will direct you for what your will is. And He speaks to us that way. Now, it may come while we're reading or praying. It might come just as a thought during the day that just keeps weighing on your mind. It might come to you in a dream in the nighttime. You say, no, I'm not. No, it comes in dreams too. God speaks to us in dreams.
Or at 2 a.m. when you can't sleep.
At 2 a.m. when you can't sleep. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you that I highly recommend the greatest sleeping aid in the whole wide world. When you wake up in the middle of the night and can't sleep, go to pray. Stop praying. Because most of the time you'll find that sleeping aid is the most powerful sleeping aid you'll ever find. It was so good that Peter and James and John, they went to sleep when Jesus was in Gethsemane. He was praying so hard, he was sweating blood. They over there trying to pray and they sleep. It's a great way to find rest. Wake up. But that's when He speaks to. He speaks to us at any time. It may be in those kind of things. It might be, just a thought, or it may be a dream, or it may be something like that. But it does come from your prayer and your reading of this Word, and you being your heart being committed fully and wholly to Jesus Christ. That's how you hear the will of God in your life. That's how you know. And the thing is I know I'm saved because I'm doing what God wills me to do, or I am doing what God has me doing. That's how. That's my reassurance. Listen, if you're doing what He's leading you to do, you'll not have any doubt in your heart at all as to whether or not I'm saved. And I know people have that doubt. I know that because I used to have those doubts at times. I was like, am I saved? If I died right now, do I really go to heaven? Is that real? Is that what? I mean, is that the case? And I know people have those thoughts. And I know that. Even people who won't admit it, they have that. But let me tell you something. When you are doing what God has for you to do, and you are living your life just as firmly and wholly as you can for Him, you're still going to sin. You're still going to mess up. It's going to happen. You're not perfect. But you're going to know that right away when you do. And you're going to repent, and you're going to beg God. Give me that. Give me the strength not to do that kind of thing again. You're going to do that. And when you're living your life like that, you don't have any doubt in your heart as to what's going to happen when you die. No doubt. And that's how you know. And that's how you don't get that you're not, that's how you don't fall into that category of not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter. So what will you take? The confidence of victory or the agony of deceit? And that's only something that you can answer yourself. Anybody got a question, a comment, anything to add? And do you understand it? Yes, ma'am. Oh, okay. Do you understand what I'm saying on the winner? Yeah, I get you. Listen, y'all, that was right. You have no control over what that does when you mess up. And I will firmly say that I am a firm believer that it is human error almost all the time. That although there is bad guys that do bad, to make intentional bad calls, and that happens.
Although Sherry's pretty bad.
But the bottom line is, a lot of times it is human error. And I'm going to say this for you too. It's a lot harder when you're the one actually out there making the calls than it is when you're the one sitting there watching the calls. So that is for sure. But the thing is even in those situations when it's not nothing you've done wrong. If it don't twinge you, if the thought don't go through your mind about some of those calls that helped you get that victory, then I mean, it really should. Because you should want to win, absolutely. And you should want that win to always be the cleanest win possible. That makes that win so much sweeter. And that's the good news is that salvation is the cleanest win you'll ever have. And you don't have to worry, there can be no deceit in it. It can only be the real deal. All right, any questions, any comments? Yes, ma'am.
I want your opinion. I know many people here, I think pretty much everyone except for Josh here, is not a fan of professional hockey. But I just want to say,
I'm not.
so there you go.
Actually, I love hockey. I used to go to San Diego Gull games all the time when I was in the Navy.
Okay, well, anyway. So the Blackhawks were playing the Rangers, and the Rangers were at home. So I think it was second period. A Ranger, they were all vibing in it, and a Ranger comes in his ice skate, and we can see it. His hockey stick did not hit that puck. His skate pushed it in over the line, and then I was like, they should have not counted that. And then 2 seconds later, I hear from the microphone on the live game, we're gonna count it as a point when directly we saw that his skate put it over the line, but we're still gonna call it. I threw my pillow, said she's not so.
All for advantage.
Actually, if it's not intentional, it counts.
Well,
It was an accident.
it looks like it was.
Just the same as in soccer, in hockey, you can use your hands
And
and
if
any
you
other
ball
part of your body.
violation, you don't need to kick away your feet, then.
I was
Still
thinking.
kick ball violation.
There's
Yeah,
it has to be
Actually,
intentional. No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it
Yes, it
does.
does. No, it does not.
If you blow something off somebody's foot, is that a kick ball?
Yes.
well, if you intentionally throw off a foot, no.
That's what I'm saying. If you,
You have to intentionally
your foot, but it was not intentionally thrown at your foot.
If the ball hits your foot,
Yes. Yeah, it is. I watched it home just the other night.
Not in high school anymore.
sorry about the off tap.
Sorry, I gotta make my.
Well, I got pumpkin and I need to go with Josh.
Oh, you're.
I don't know if it's last time.
I'll see you in the
See,
morning.
yeah.
It took me back to this moment, I think it was my PDL. But like, it was like inbound, I was like, right there in the pain, I was starting to inbounder. They go to the corner, it hits my hand, and it goes out of bounds. They call it barely, we got beat off. They go in and shoot.
So you, even though you were the last one to touch it,
It was obvious. It wasn't obvious.
yeah, right. You were the last one to touch it, but they got the ball. But they gave you the ball anyway. Yeah. Now I've actually had this happen. You know what I've done? And it didn't change anything, but I told the referee that actually was off me last. And I've done that. I've actually done it in games. And literally told him, said, "Hey, it was off on me." But I don't think they ever changed the call when I did that. But and here's something that I'm not. This is kind of like goes along with what you said about Brandon. I have always had a conscience. That I'm talking about. I will tell on myself in a heartbeat. And I feel your pain, brother. But that's a great thing, and it is.
Sometimes
It
I
ain't
wish
great.
I didn't have it.
Yeah, oh, you know, I know you. You know what? Every human being wishes they don't have it. The old man don't want that. You know why? Because then he can't live in sin and enjoy it. That's why he don't want it. Be thankful God has blessed you with a conscience. That is the greatest gift that you can possibly have. Yes, ma'am.
When I was a kid, y'all know when Dixie used to have those big bags of candy, and like you weighed it in the scale and put it in the bag? I stole some of that candy. I actually don't remember stealing it, but when we got home, Natalie and I hid under the bed to eat it.
Because he stole it.
Because we, like, you know what I mean? Like, I remember hiding under the bed, but I don't ever really remember putting it in my pocket. But we hid to eat it. So clearly,
There was shame.
we knew
Shame.
it was wrong.
What did Adam and Eve do when God come
They
to walk in
hid.
the garden? They hid.
And so my mom came in looking for us while we were hiding under the bed. And she found us and the candy wrappers under the bed.
That she knew she didn't buy.
That she knew she did not buy because she went to the grocery store with us. But my point is it didn't take my mama catching me for me to know it was wrong. It didn't take
It don't.
her catching me. I know.
That's what I was going to say. I was about three or 4 years old, and I remember parts of this. I don't remember all of it. I remember parts. We was at the grocery store up in North Carolina when Daddy was in the Army, and I asked Mom for a candy bar, and she told me no, couldn't have it. And I'd only get out of the store, we get into the car, and I tell Mom, I said, I didn't want that candy bar anyway. And she said, well, good. Waited for a few seconds, and I said, I didn't put that candy bar in your pocket. She reaches in her pocket, and there's your candy bar. This is that part about having conscience. It's the Lord blessed me. There was times I didn't think it was a blessing, and it was a great blessing. And so, what's my mama do? She turns the car around, pulls back up there, drags me in, asks the manager, and then says, my son stole this candy bar from you. You do what you need to. And that was a powerful lesson for me. It was, but be thankful for a conscience, folks. If you have a conscience, and if it's one, and it seems like it's something that's just irritating and always bothering you, man, no, it's not. It's a wonderful gift. Be thankful that God has allowed you to be so attuned to what is right and what is wrong that you choose to do what's right every time. Even though you may be choosing it because you feel so bad if you do the other thing, praise God. That's a wonderful thing. That's a wonderful thing. The conscience is a beautiful, wonderful thing. Tell on yourself every time. And I know y'all always said that I cheated. I didn't have to cheat tonight. I was that good. And I will stand on that. I didn't have to cheat.
My daddy forbid Monopoly.
And we'll leave that alone because, like I said, I still stand that I did not cheat. I played a very good game.
Back in the day, we played good games. Back when we played good games.
This is that, I think me and Dale were still dating when they did that. And Davey was like, no more, God,
No
man,
more
no more
Monopoly.
in this house.
Monopoly takes too long to get too mad.
Wait.
But listen, be thankful for, that's a great thing. That conscience is wonderful. Tell on yourself. Listen, hey, talking about that, I had one time, I was driving way too fast. Driving down the dirt road, come around the corner.
Whoa.
Oh, no, let me tell you. I'm glad to go this. Let me tell you who the fastest driver in this whole church has ever been, and that's me. I used to drive anything I got in as fast as it would go. And I had some stuff that would go very fast.
Like 200 miles.
I have been that fast before. I have driven something over 160 miles an hour. All right, so understand this. When y'all hear about slow driving Shane, that is the conviction of the Lord on my life. It has nothing to do with me. Shane loves speed.
Was it like a plane or something?
No, it was a car.
I think
Yeah.
your new nickname should just be Flash.
Yeah, oh, believe me, I love speed. I still to this day, I think going fast is awesome, but
No, you
I do. Oh, I do. But I'm gonna tell you, I don't do that because God gave me a conscience that directs me to do different. Gee, that was one. I was just about. But anyways, I was driving too fast, come around the corner, almost ran over a guy. I didn't really almost run over him, but it was scary too, because I was coming around that dirt road corner, and as I always like to do, I was what y'all would call drifting, I think. And I was coming around that corner, sliding sideways, and he's working on the ditch right over there, and his supervisor lived there fairly close, and he hit the woods. I wasn't gonna hit him, but it sure looked like I was gonna hit him. And I went on down there, and I worked down the road right there. And I was standing in the yard, and here comes that supervisor, that road foreman. Poof, he shoots down there. I step out to the fence and wait for him to pull up there, and he rolls up his window, or start opening that door up, and he said, "Hey, you driving too fast?" I said, "Yes, sir, I sure was," and I apologize for that. Because Lord had already convicted me, even though I wasn't living my life at that time like I should. Lord had already told me, "Son, you done wrong." And so when he pulled up there, I just said, "You're right, I was going way too fast, and I apologize. You please tell him I apologize." Now, that wasn't me. I can tell you, because at that time of my life, that me would have been like, "Well, get on out in the truck."
You still
A lot.
Get a
I don't ever remember losing that. And let me tell you what, I used to say it like this. When it come to fighting, there wasn't no such thing as cheating. It was only winning. Now, did I get beat up good? Yes, sir. I have toted some beating. Broke nose, knots all over my head, yeah. Black eye. I've had every bit of that, you know, I've been, and yeah, I lost.
I've never lost.
But I can assure you, yeah, and just because you never fought. But anyways, that was the me. That's who I was. That was the way I done it. But God convicted me even in that moment, and by doing His will, it stopped that from anything bad happening. So see, a conscience is a good thing. Of having a conscience. Up here. We're still in there. We're still in here. Anyway, conscience is a good thing. Be thankful for that conscience. All right. Anybody else? Got anything you want to add? Anything to say? Anybody? Anybody? So we're all good? Let's answer our trivia real quick. If you got answers, bring them on up, throw them on the table. And we will go over it while they're bringing them up. Now, the question was, who is listed as the third wife of Esau, and who is her father? That was the question. Now, does anybody want to raise their hand and give an answer on this? Anybody? Come on. Come on. That or I'll just pick one of them up. I just grabbed one. I don't know who this is. So anybody know? Have the answer. Don't be scared.
I can't pronounce the father's name.
All right. Y'all turn in answers. Surely one of you can remember what you wrote on the paper.
Can I go get my paper because I can't remember it.
Do I now?
Simmons?
No. Okay. Okay.
Ishmael.
Thank you. Thank you. And it can be pronounced in a few different ways. Basemath, would probably be the most common way. She was listed as the third wife, and she was the daughter of Ishmael. Now, little bonus here, if you can tell me who was her sister. No.
Judith. Please.
No.
I wrote it on there, I couldn't remember.
I had looked at it.
I didn't know.
Yeah, and I didn't ask y'all that. But if you look at Genesis chapter 36, verse 3, which is where we get this answer, even though it's said in another spot. You got that, Josh? Yeah. And Bashemath, Ishmael's daughter, sister of Nebajoth. Now, I don't have a clue who Nebajoth is. I'd have to do some study to see if it even talks about her. But I do know that she's listed in one other place. And that is where Bashemath is first mentioned as the wife of Esau. And some of you may have wrote that area that down. I can't remember. It's a little bit before 36 verse 3. But in that area, in that place, it don't list her as the third wife. It's not the third listed wife. So that's what I was seeing if y'all would catch that. Well, I'll look at everything, but good answer. Good job. Now, I will give y'all the new one for this week. Is everybody ready? And I'll try to remember. I'll try to put it on tonight. If I don't, I'll get it on as soon as I can. But here we go. What two sons of Israel served time in Egyptian prisons? You need your answer and your place in the Bible. What two sons of Israel served time in Egyptian prisons? No, actually, it's a two-part question because it's not in the same place. So, I did give you that hint. There you go. All right. Do that. I need to repeat it again, or y'all got it?
You can just repeat it on.
And like I said, I'll put it on the everybody page or whatever it is.
Whatever that thing.
All right. Let's do our prayer requests. Yes, ma'am.
Sue Curry and Sue Curry, our family, and me and Sue and Ciel are going to Chicken, I think, on Saturday. I don't know if it is Tuesday, which is at the information, but I would like to out some chicks because we have one left now. We have one chicks.
So y'all probably gonna go to Orange Hill. What's it called? Orange Hill Express, I think.
No, we're going to Beach.
The Feed and Seed and Chip. Ain't that?
Brickyard.
Oh, there's one on Brickyard.
And it is by a field and a.
Yeah, that's that brick yard.
Ah, okay. Right on. All right. Yes, sir.
Selma?
Yes, sir.
Nate.
Who?
Nate.
Nate Tate?
Number 8.
Apparently he bought one for us.
He did this thing, and that's not true at all.
He was, him and Kenny was out there.
That's what Clipchamp told me.
He had an appendectomy Sunday, and he is fine, he went perfectly okay.
But the stories are going, you know, you gotta build things up. Come on now.
Flat line, right.
Hey, Tate told us that too, so it might be true.
Anyways, okay, we'll remember that. Yeah, there you go. Mama's gonna get it right. So, all right, who else? What else we got? Any more requests? Anybody? Request? Yes, ma'am.
I have several unspoken. Continue to remember JP.
Yes, ma'am. With lice. There's an easy way to take care of that.
You say,
Yep.
if I get last, I'm shaking my head.
Ooh. I'll find a bag.
I don't think they can
If
get
I
it.
get lice, I am shaking.
Hold on, y'all. Hey, one at a time, please.
Ms. Peterson told us, Ms. Peterson told us this morning, a story about a person that she was teaching at Bonfay Elementary, and she had a girl in class, she had,
It's a prayer request.
no.
Hold on.
Is it more of a life
Prayer-
story? We don't care, honey.
It's really funny.
Prayer request right now. Prayer request.
After we pray.
Not cold
It's Kim.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
that-
lives across the road from us.
Yeah, that's, once they ever had to start that, it usually takes.
His spirits are not very good because, I mean, he gets out and does quite a bit, but it's his left foot, so he said he can still drive to the river, but. But right now it's 2 toes, but it's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
looking good, but they was calling another surgeon in also today.
Go
This
ahead.
afternoon tonight, or maybe in the morning, just whenever he gets there, so. It may be a foot, if he hasn't texted me tonight. but-
That's never, I mean, once they start cutting on diabetics, it's usually just a state of progression. Let's remember Mike. Hey, how's Gary doing?
Gary's doing fine.
Typical Gary. Gary has heart attacks and strokes, and
Gary
he's
has heart
just,
attacks and he's 81 years old and he doesn't bother.
and he'll still be grinning the next time you see him.
He will, they said that it didn't somehow, and they've never had it happen before, but it did not go to his brain.
Yep.
And he said, he looked at the doctor and he says, I know why. He said, because I got plenty of people that pray. He said, and at first his left side was not doing very well. But, and they couldn't give him the medicine,
Yep.
the shot to reverse it. So they
That golden
reversed it
hour
for him.
medicine, they couldn't give it to him
Because of some bleeding that he has, yeah.
That's right. So,
Because of bleeding that, it's an
Oh.
insurance bleeding.
if anybody believes that the Lord can heal, well, Gary does, because he is. Man, how many heart attacks? I don't even remember.
I don't even know.
Numerous heart attacks he's had.
He's had a lot.
All right,
Speaking of heart attacks,
yes,
Bubba went to cardiologist today,
yeah,
no,
no,
sometime this week.
okay,
And they said that he did have a mild heart attack and partially due to his blood pressure. So they changed his blood pressure medicine and he's gotta go have a stress test, an echo, and lose some weight.
yeah, I kind of figured that was good.
And so that's what I know at this point.
All right, yeah, keep on remembering, but, all right, any other requests?
I don't know if I have Daniel Stevenson on there.
Danielle? Yes,
Which is Danielle Worley, their early sister. She's over here over the weekend. They said she was fine, that she was starving on weekends instead of being nauseous
that's awesome, that's good.
so far.
Oh, and y'all know we've had Tad Wilson on our prayer request for some time. Tad had scans last week, and he is cancer free. So, that's a blessing.
Update on Alvin.
On who?
Alvin. Alvin.
Oh, Alvin. Oh, yeah, you said Alvin, I'm thinking Alvin Peacock. What's wrong with Alvin? But, Alvin, only got a little report this afternoon that he is still in a lot of pain. I don't know if he's still in the hospital for sure. I do know that he's having a lot of fun. And y'all just remember Alvin, he needs a lot of prayer and all of that kind of stuff. Please do remember. But no, I didn't, outside of the fact that he is still having a lot of pain, that's all I got. All right, any more requests?
Caleb.
Yeah, where's he at? Not gonna do, I'll remember Kate. So who's going to fill in for him tonight?
Oh, yeah.
What kind of brother are you? All right, y'all remember Kate. Anybody else? Any more requests? Anybody? Anybody? Going once, going twice. Hey, Brandon, pray for us. Y'all bow your heads. Amen. Thank you, Bobby.